awesome. I'm a big believer in learning PySpark as soon as you need to, but if you're deep into the concepts and you've learned a lot of tools in the past, I'm hoping the employers, when they put out job postings, will be more tool agnostic. Like, if you've got a good history of learning tools, we don't care what tools you know now, because quite frankly, someone could say, oh yeah, I have extensive experience with TensorFlow, but they haven't used it 2 years and it's upgraded so much, you could feel like you're starting completely over. But if you've learned a lot of tools in the past, it's no big deal.
I keep getting asked, like, why don't you list your packages that you're familiar with? I'm like, because if you can pick up 2 or 3 packages, you can pick up 5 or 6 or 7
Absolutely.
or 8 more. And it's, and if you've picked up 4 or 5 languages to do data science already, what's picking up, Scala or something like that?
Exactly.
It's just, already how to do it. It's the act of learning that's important.
Absolutely. And I completely agree with that. Once you've learned a few tools and you've learned how to master them pretty quickly, any new tool's no big deal.
So one thing I kind of wanted to hit on was that we both have nuke experience, and I thought that was really odd. I was like, another nuke person?
I didn't
What?
know you had nuke experience.
I was
That's
really
awesome.
surprised. Well, mine's over at the INL.
Mine too.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because back in the day when I served with the Naval Nuclear Program as a civilian, but I went through Naval Nuclear Power School with the ensigns, but as a civilian for Westinghouse. And then I went through prototype training with them. But this is before in fact, I was one of the last groups to train on land. Then they started bolting this old subs to a port and training people in retired submarines. And so my training days were before that. So I was at the INEL, and that's where they did the first submarine power plant test before the Nautilus, which they have all of that mothballed now. It's kind of like a museum out there now, but it was fascinating back in the day. Very intensive program, but I'm very honored to have gone through it too.
Well, I just went through it as a statistician, so not at the same depth, but it was cool to see that we both had nukes intersecting in our background.
And at the INEL, that's really cool.
They call it the INL now. They dropped the E, but everyone knows when you say INEL that what
exactly.
you mean nowadays.
They've been through a lot of name changes, actually.
Yeah. So, what is one of your biggest joys in life?
Oh, wow, that's it. I hope I don't make people uncomfortable saying this, but I would be lying to not say this. It's my faith. It is my spiritual faith. Mm-hmm. And I'm always happy to talk about that. But kind of in tune with that, I love our analytical arts. But it dawned on me decades ago, boy, we spent a lot of time studying this stuff. It would sure be nice if we could, and I didn't think about it this clearly at the time, but abstract it, conceptualize it, and apply it to other areas of our life. So the first time I got a clue of this was when Franklin and Covey joined forces. They had this image in their planners that looked like a feedback control system. And I went, wait, they're applying that to growth. Why didn't I think to do that? That's awesome. And I started looking for other areas to extend the powerful, beautiful concepts we learn all the time, trying to apply it to other areas of my life. Mm-hmm. For example, I'm just a student of reinforced learning, but I'm in love with it. And I programmed my own environment just because I'm a masochist and wanted to do that. And Visual Python's super powerful to do that kind of stuff in. But watching my little stupid reinforced learning agent, how it would go about learning, I found it so instructive. I found it smarter than me at times because it would just venture out and it would learn. Every once in a while it'd stop and say, how am I doing? Look back and make some calculations, and they're just estimates of estimates, and then it would move on. And I thought, I need to be more like that because I, more than anyone I've ever met, can get analysis paralysis if I'm not very cautious about it.
So what's some of your favorite packages for reinforced learning?
Python.
Well,
and Visual Python. No, in fact, when I'm learning something new, I tend to avoid the libraries and modules, so I'm forced to learn how to code it from scratch.
yeah.
And in fact, I love NumPy, and I'm not encouraging people to not use NumPy or SciPy or TensorFlow or PyTorch or any of those. I'm just saying, if you really hardcore want to understand the concepts very deeply, it really pays to program everything from scratch. So I made a very basic linear algebra toolkit because I realized, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to need that. And then I made my own closed system solvers and my own gradient descent solvers. I just wanted to see what it looked like under the hood. And then I got a little interrupted from that when I felt like I needed to jump ahead to reinforced learning and jump ahead to transformers. But I would say I don't have a favorite package, but I've never come across one that I hate either. But I do really like NumPy because it's that next level up, and it does take a lot of burden off your hands programming-wise.
It does. So you're a doctor, aren't you?
Yes, but I can't fix your thyroid or something.
Well, hopefully.
Of
I
the
think
physical
it's still
sciences. Yeah, I have a PhD. That's right. And I loved getting it.
You loved getting it.
Yeah, I did.
When did you decide that, when did you find out what a PhD was, and when did you decide that is for me?
I had this high ideal in my head that there was almost nothing better to be in life than a professor. And I wanted to be a college professor. And there was something that cured me of that, getting my PhD. Now, I don't mean that I wouldn't still like to go be a professor someday, but I realized, okay, there's evils in academia, just like there's evils in industry. And, I went through a cynical stage as a younger man and had to learn, okay, quit being so critical and judgmental. The world's not this ideal place, and the adults really don't know everything. They seem to pose themselves as knowing. So just try not to be that way as you move through life. But it took me a while to get over all of that.
I think a lot of people that end up on that path for higher education have that moment where they're like, I want to be a professor. I know I did. And a lot of people I talk to also say oh, I wanted to be a professor. And then somehow the reality of academia hits us in the gut. And we're just like,
yeah,
maybe this isn't for me, but I respect anyone who's a professor entirely. And
absolutely.
They do amazing work.
They do. And there's evils in every sector of our technical world. There's things about the whole scientific community as a whole that I think are holding us back.
P-value hacking would be one of them. Are always trying to you always have to have
Yes.
a significant p-value. Why can't we publish insignificant p-values? Hey, I did this and it didn't work out. That's also a piece of knowledge. Why
I totally
isn't it?
agree. Yes. Publishing more failures. And in fact, when I listened to professors while I was a grad student talk about some of the tricks, and I'm doing that in quotes with, I guess we are being
Yeah,
videoed.
we are. Yes.
It was interesting, some of the silly tricks they would pull just to get their paper published after it had been rejected the first time. I went, do I want to play those games? I don't know.
And it's publish or die. You need X publications with X collaborators within X time. And
Yes, and I didn't like that aspect of it. But then again, being a PhD in industry is not a dream world either. So I think what I've learned to do, Sarah, this is probably, I wished that I could have heard an older gentleman say this when I was younger, is, hey, the greatest joy you're going to have is watching your personal growth and getting better at learning over time. Focus on that. Don't get too cynical about the way the world is, and just enjoy your growth and your accomplishments. You can't do any better than that. And frankly, that Solomon taught me that years ago, but did I listen very well? No.
thanks for listening to Sarah in Tech. Feel free to email me at sarah@sarahintech.net or follow me on Instagram at sarahintech. Hope you enjoyed listening.